Good morning, everyone. Well, this is the second to last in my series that I've decided I was going to do on gem razors or single edge razors. Today I'm going to be using my Gem MicroMatic Open Comb razor, which some people claim is the most aggressive single edge razor there is. I have not used this razor very much because this razor's got some issues, and I'll show them to you. And it just proves to show that you can use a razor that is not in perfect operating condition. They're pretty versatile. This razor, so I'm turning, nothing happens. The door should come open when I turn it. Well, that's not happening. The little screw mechanism in there is not working right. But using my fingers, I can assist it open. Another thing you can see, maybe, I talked to you yesterday about the little posts. This has got a good little post right there. But over here, it doesn't. It's worn off quite a bit, if you can see that. So, therefore, that makes that blade sit in there a little awkwardly and unevenly. But if you put the blade in and you get it in there and then you get it aligned up against that one post and then the other one, and then close it down, get it aligned, close it down, then tighten it up, and it takes some adjustment a little bit, but it's not unlike things like the Yuma razor where you have to play with it a little bit. But there it is, it's locked down, nothing's going to happen. But you can see on this razor just what kind of blade exposure you've got. That blade's out there pretty good. So it should give a pretty aggressive shave. This morning I've got a particular medical issue that I can't take a shower right at the moment. So in preparation, I did hot towel, some hot water on my face, and I did my regular pre-shave oil. I put that down first, and then on top of that, I did my Noxzema, which is the Equate deep cleansing generic Noxzema with eucalyptus oil. I put some of that on top of that. And the pre-shave oil softens a little bit, but is not as good a softener as the Noxzema. But in combination, a good layer of that oil, and then the Noxzema on top of it, or it could be Parasso or it could be Vitos, whatever. They're all basically the same consistency of what they do. Put that on top, and that should soften up the whiskers quite a bit. This morning I'm going to be using VDH, Hagen Deluxe, and this is what, whenever I went out right after I first started wet shaving, I went and I bought, I don't know, 5 or 6 pucks of Hagen Deluxe. It's because it's all I could find. And I went and I mushed it and grated it all into this tub. So I've got a tub here that's going to last me through the shave apocalypse, probably. But I love VDH. And then I'm going to be using my Omega 4P Professional brush. I haven't used this brush enough And actually, I don't think it's even yet broken in, even though I've probably used it a dozen times. I think it's still got a ways to go to be broken in. But load it up. Been soaking it in hot water. I usually load it up until it gets nice and frothy. And then I use a bowl and mix it up in the bowl. And this morning, because I want to do something a little extra, I'm going to put in some glycerin that's been infused with menthol. Get that little extra menthol kick from the beginning. There we go. The final one I want to do on SEs is probably going to be this weekend sometime. Probably Sunday, maybe Saturday. And I'll be using the 1912. But here we go with the MicroMatic. And automatically, I can immediately feel the aggression of this razor. Hey, you see this, the lather falling off? I've noticed that with some of the SE razors, that the lather just doesn't work the same way. And you've got to shake the blade, the razor out pretty good, or you carry a whole bunch of water. This is a very aggressive razor. Not a bad aggressive, but in comparison, to the other ones, you can feel it. And that was one thing I wanted to do in this series of shaves, is just kind of keep in my memory the differences so that I could get a better feel for these razors. And so far, I started off, I used my Gem Junior, then I used my ever ready shovel head, the Gem Jr.'s head is pretty almost identical to that of the 1912. The Ever Ready was the mildest. And then I went to the MicroMatic Fly Wing razor, the closed comb, and I think it was the mildest so far, at least for me. Some people may have a little bit different experience with it, but for me, the closed comb is always a milder shave. So now, across the grain for me is up and down. I can really feel that blade. This is the 4th time using this blade. It's a Gem Personna. It's coated stainless steel. And I suppose in the single edge razor world, this is the R41. But really, the technique of using this razor, even though it is very aggressive, is no different than the others. You do need to watch your angle. Because with as much blade exposure as this gives you, you could nick yourself if you kind of went the wrong way. Rinse off a little bit. That's pretty close so far already. And you know, the warm water, I've been keeping this, I put this in a bowl setting in my sink. And the warm water does break down, you know, the warm, I'm sure it breaks down the soap in your creams. I was wondering yesterday when I used my big 28mm brush if it was the water inside it that was causing the lather to break down. But I think just keeping it warm causes it to break down quite a bit, because the soap is much thinner, not as rich, still as slick as it was, but it's just not as rich and thick if it wasn't warm. So that's the downfall of using a scuttle type thing or whatever it is. Your soap's going to be thinner. Okay, across the grain for me is kind of, or against the grain is kind of across my face. Down here underneath my chin is always my hardest spot, with the DE and with an SE too. Get all those whiskers off. Simon was asking how many shaves you get with an SE blade, and that varies quite a bit from person to person, just the way it does with DE blades. I have not myself gotten huge numbers. Some guys say, you know, 6 to 10. I seem to only get maybe 3 or 4. This is the 4th time on this blade, and I wonder about the efficiency of it after that many times. Now, these blades are thicker, so you can kind of effectively strop them. Some people use a piece of blue jeans denim. You can strap them on your hand. It's still not real close right there. And that's what makes me wonder, even though this is a very, very aggressive razor, this being the 4th time with this blade, does it take some sharpness off of it? I'm sure it does. Whereas maybe the first time use, I wouldn't have to go back again. There we go. But then some people, they hand strop them, and that's just, you put it up against your hand and you just do that half a dozen times on each side. And some people claim that that puts a better edge on them. I don't know. I really don't know about that. It might help a little bit, but I can't see it doing a huge amount. You know, it's just one of those things. There's some things you can buy occasionally on eBay. I can't remember what they're called, but they're stroppers that have, you put the blade in, you turn it, and it's got a leather pad in it. I'm going menthol all the way. This is my witch hazel infused with menthol.